Hi there, welcome to breaking news in the Noah Presgrove case. New court documents have been released in regard to the subpoena when it comes to the defendants, party goers and parents of party goers. I'm going to present to you all the new documents today, read them out, analyse, give my thoughts and reactions on them for the very first time, and also acknowledge what people in the community have had to say in response to it. Credit to the likes of Michael Faizkaz and other people on the Noah's Ark page for providing the screenshots and whatnot. Sometimes it's not always easy to get a hold of them. If you're not within the US, you're from a different country. I'll be using the ones from Michael Faizkaz's point of view because the screenshots are a lot clearer in quality and contrast. Welcome to anyone that is currently here during the live premiere. Share your thoughts and live reactions. Are you surprised by any of it? And by the end of watching this video, have you learned anything different? What do you anticipate next? This subpoena, I should word it, apologies. It can be to do with following on with legal proceedings, attendance in court, acknowledging to that, attending with the presence of evidence, documentation, etc. So we will get into it deeper and look at the specifics, look at the dates if there are provided as like the deadline, because the last one what I did was to do with the deadline of Val Petrol, Napoli's, that convenience store and chain, how they've got to either appear or respond back within a suitable time. I think it might have been August 14th, I have to double check that. Because they've been quiet since, but I'm sure they will respond back. I saw the comments section where people were suggesting that maybe Val Petrol, Napoli's may lose their license when it comes to, I guess, distributing, serving and selling alcohol. I guess time will tell there. There's a lot of different outcomes that could happen. You can let me know if you think there's going to be any more twists or turns or delays, because when it comes to a subpoena, when it comes to court documents, attendance and, you know, continuing on from there, the discovery process, I remember the Dylan Rounds case. They got a hold of the killer. They may have not had all the evidence to prove it in the early days, but they had the killer. And then eventually more was learned, more evidence collected, but it was so dragged out and delayed. What? Because of the person not willing to communicate or cooperate. Not so much that, but just the court, the proceedings, how they handled it, the professionals and the higher ups. Hopefully it's a different outcome here, but you always got to expect all the different cases and scenarios how it could go. What I do want to say is, if you are interested in videos like that, or even the Val Patrol video that I did, the previous documents, you'll be able to find things like that. Top right corner where the I symbol is up there with the full playlist on the Noah Presgrove case, and including some loose videos as well, including last night when I was covering the Rebecca Zahau case, completely different one, true crime related, which I've done for the very first time. If you're interested in that, be sure to check it out. It was very quiet last night, but that's all fine. If you want to leave your comments down below after watching this video, if you got any questions, answers, discussions, whatever it is, be sure to leave a comment below under the video. It helps with spreading awareness, and you'll also find a pinned message by me at the top. If you want to support the channel, there is a PayPal link and channel membership. Shout out to individuals that have supported my channel in recent times, super chats, super stickers, and those that have become members or rejoined as members recently. You know who you are. Appreciate all of that. So the order of how we'll do it, we're going to get straight into the documents and then we'll look at the reactions by people. So in these documents, there's about 8 pages or so. Mainly 7 because the 8th one doesn't have much written on it, but we do have kind of like duplicates here, but I thought I'd just try and include all that's been presented. It's worded slightly different. I will zoom in as well just to make it easier for you. So this is one of them, which was provided from the Noah's Ark page, and it says, in the District Court, Stephens County, State, Oklahoma, the estate of Noah Nichols, Noah Presgrove, and on the right, Lawrence Wheeler, filed district, Stephens County, July 21st, 2025. It's pretty recent. Defendants, Avery Jo Howard, birthday girl, Carter Combs, sister to Avery, Jack Newton, boyfriend to Carter, Caleb Newton, father to Jack, Joni Trout Wilcoxon Jr., I believe the mother to Stevie Howard, Stevie Howard, mother to Carter and Avery. Logan Jernigan lived at the party house as a host as well and a friend to Carter and Avery. John/Jane Doe, A to Z. Unidentified individuals, more than one person, still not being identified. Will we ever find out who those named individuals are? Is it other party goers or ones we've not heard of? Of course, Val Patrol LLC, Domestic Limited Liability Company. Lower down, 21st, the order of July. Plaintiff, the estate of Noah Nichols, motion for leave to issue a subpoena for production of documents limited to the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. Based on the court's review of motion and petition, the motion is granted. Okay, right, issuing and to do with the production of documents. Is this to do with the documents by OHP and what they writ down, what they wrote, and how they handled the case and the highway at the time, explaining it all, maybe. I said, I am not an expert when it comes to court, documents, law, any of that. I don't do that stuff. Okay, I just thought I'd make that clear now. Now, this one is kind of the same. It's a bit clearer visually, the ink on it, but it's, I don't know, is it a bit worded a little bit different here? The estate of no motion for leave to issue. Yeah, I think it's just been made into bold more so. Comes now. There it's counsel respectfully submitting this motion for leave to issue a subpoena for production of documentary evidence to non-party Oklahoma Highway Patrol. Okay. The estate initiated the instant wrongful death action following the death of Noah Nichols, whose body was found along United States Highway 81 in Terrell, Oklahoma. And then I guess it goes on to the next page. So that's 1 of 8. Maybe just a little bit just here. So with Noah Presgrove's body, blunt force injuries consistent with a fatal assault. Prior to his death, Nichols attended a gathering hosted by defendants at which Nichols, a minor, was unlawfully provided and encouraged to consume alcohol. An altercation involving certain defendants preceded his disappearance from the event. Right, so I am reading this for the very first time and reacting raw, so I will pause in between and you can let me know your thoughts below, right? So when it comes to the official autopsy, it didn't mention anything about the specific cause of death, as in what really caused it. But how it's worded here in these official documents, blunt force injuries with a fatal assault. An assault which tends to be by the hands of somebody else or some people, like a beatdown, attacking Noah Presgrove, as in a form of murder, foul play. I don't know, that's just like how it seems to be worded here, or how I interpret it. And with it being official documents, it just didn't seem consistent with how it's been explained or worded in the official autopsy report. Does anyone agree with that? And in terms of Noah attending a gathering hosted by defendants, I think they need to be a bit more specific there, because not all defendants' names listed on these documents were actually at the party or hosting it. The ones that were hosting the party physically there was Logan, Carter, and Avery, because they all lived there as well. So I've got to be specific. But it says at which Nichols, I'm guessing meaning Noah Presgrove, a minor. What? Am I reading that correctly? Noah Presgrove was 19 years of age at the time. He was a young adult. If you're 18 or over, you're a young adult. A minor is someone who's like under the age of 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, and so on. So why is it being worded like this? Sensationalism? Exaggerated? A mistake made? Making it sound worse than what it actually was? Unlawfully provided alcohol? Okay, Noah was under the legal age. You need to be 21 or above. Noah wasn't. But it doesn't make Noah a minor. He's a young adult. It's a bit weird wording that way. And how it says, and Noah was encouraged to consume alcohol. Really? So they're saying that Noah Presgrove wouldn't drink by himself, by his own choice. He had to be encouraged to drink, as if he didn't have much control and other people took advantage. Like in that, was it wrongful death lawsuit, the original documents, how it was worded as if Noah would be promised copious amounts of alcohol if he attended the party, or more so returned back to the party. And even when he was drunk, he was given more and more and more, almost like forced fed alcohol by other party goers, making it sound like Noah Presgrove was very vulnerable and couldn't make his own choices. That's like how it's worded here, encouraged to drink alcohol. Not more, but just alcohol in general. And yet, from like what Jack Newton has said, the likes of Noah Presgrove and others that attended the party turned up with their own alcohol already in mind of getting drunk, if not already drunk, when attending. So, and the bit about an altercation involving certain defendants preceded his disappearance from the event. Now, in the wrongful death lawsuit, there was no dates, times specifically given, more so times. Yes, it mentioned the 3:41 time, but that's actually to do with the Snapchat by Jasmine Milan announcing Noah's missing from the party. Didn't acknowledge that, even though it's hard evidence in the wrongful death lawsuit documents. More so, it worded it as partygoers at 3:41 realised Noah was absent from the party. So it's before 3:41, likely, when the argument took place. As it's mentioned in the wrongful death lawsuit, Jack Newton and Avery Joe Combs, or Joe Howard, both of those were having a verbal fight with Noah Presgrove. And how it's worded here, an altercation, it's probably the same thing, verbal altercation, and involving certain defendants, as in Jack and Avery, and that preceded his disappearance. So the main reason for Noah disappearing, or in the process of it, interesting how it's more worded here and organised compared to the wrongful death lawsuit. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol initiated an investigation, but in 2024 publicly stated it is no longer investigating the murder of Noah Presgrove. And lower down, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol and Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation continues to investigate the death of 19-year-old Noah Presgrove. Presgrove was found dead along Highway 81 in Jefferson County on September 4th, 2023. Investigators have conducted numerous interviews and reviewed leads and evidence. Currently, the OHP is not investigating Presgrove's death as a murder, highlighted in bold. The investigation is not over, and anyone with information on Presgrove's death is encouraged to contact the Southwest Regional Communications Centre. All of public information that, before YouTube tries shutting me down. It's all above board. Interesting. Okay, September 4th, that's correct. Even though Fox News article worded it in a dodgy way when they interpreted it from the wrongful death lawsuit, which is weird. Numerous interviews have been conducted and reviewed, and leads and evidence, but what evidence exactly? Because I guess at the scene at the highway there was either lacking evidence or missing evidence, depending how you look at it. Is there still evidence that could be collected till this day, right now, or are some of the things just long gone? Beside that, OHP statement, Comanche Times, May 1st, 2024. With a URL link there. Nonetheless, the material discovered by OHP is likely to lead to the discovery of admissible evidence that is highly probative to the above-styled case, including identification of potential defendants, currently identified as defendants John/Jane Does. Oh, okay. Granting this motion is necessary for the estate to attempt to serve all potential defendants before the statute of limits runs in September 2025. Moreover, because the estate could have sought this same information from OHP either through an open record request or the pending probate for the estate, there can be no prejudice to the currently named defendants. For those reasons, the estate seeks to leave, which should be granted, limited to issuing OHP a subpoena for production of documents only. Proposed subpoena under Oklahoma law, leave of court is required if a plaintiff seeks to issue a subpoena for the production of documentary evidence from any non-party within 30 days following. Right, so I think the thing that stood out to me more so was when it mentioned about the John Jane Does, because we don't actually know who those people are. It's a bit of a mystery. So just to read it over one more time. Material discovered by the Oklahoma Highway Patrol is likely, says a level of confidence, which will lead to the discovery of admissible evidence, which is obviously important, and including identification of potential defendants who have been unnamed or unidentified at this moment in time. So what type of evidence has been collected or could be collected because of the discovery of it? Is it partygoers like Mikey, Brylan, Isaac, or Jasmine Millan, Stephanie Millan, Stephanie's boyfriend? Any Texas boys? Well, Robin Smith said she was told by police 5 Texas boys were cleared, whether that be all the Texas boys or there's some of us in the background. Carlson Myers, was he about? I mean, there might be other named people which we've just not seen before that were at the party around the time of Noah's death. As to why they've not been revealed after all this, you could say it raises a few eyebrows, but like how it's mentioned here, the evidence and involving identification, I wonder how long it will be till John and Jane Doe's names are revealed. More than one person from the looks of it. 1 male, 1 female, 2 males, 3 females. Who knows what number exactly. But it does say A to Z, so it could be any of them, really. You let me know in the comments section who these John Jane individuals could be. I know some people have already left guesses in the comments on the last video or two I did, but if you've changed your mind since, or if there's anyone else that wants to give their thoughts, be sure to let me know in the comments. Moving on to the next page, page number 3. Zoom in about that. It says, service of summons upon any defendant, Oklahoma. Plaintiff has diligently initiated this request within such time frame, making this motion necessary and proper, including providing a proposed subpoena for the court's review. Plaintiff seeks issuance of the subpoena to the OHP to obtain its investigative file relating exclusively to Noah Nichols' death investigation. The estate understands and represents to this court that the OHP investigation into Noah's death, particularly as it pertains to criminal charges of murder, has effectively concluded and no criminal charges have been formally filed against the named defendants or any individuals at this time. At the moment, may change. Consequently, plaintiff's request for documents does not implicate any pending criminal charges against defendants, but pertains strictly to OHP investigation of Noah's death itself. So I think that's really important and speaks volume, because the wrongful death lawsuit, which could be considered as a bit of a counter to how it's been mentioned here, with the family and the family's attorneys, what they believe in is that there was a wrongful death. Defendants are responsible for the alcohol part, so kind of like the social hosting and that being broken and putting Noah in a vulnerable position, which ultimately led to his death. The blame there, hence why defendants' names are mentioned. But then it also did mention about a beatdown, including 2 or more people attacking Noah. That's what the family believe. That's what the family's attorneys have put across. However, how it's worded here, it doesn't link up. So that's interesting. There's a bit of a divide, but, you know, things could change depending where it goes. So just to read it again. So the OHP investigation into Noah's death, the criminal charges of murder have concluded and no criminal charges have been filed against the defendants as named in the wrongful death lawsuit. So the wrongful death lawsuit believes two of those defendants, if not more, are responsible in beating Noah up. But how it's mentioned here within the court, the OHP, they don't think that they are responsible for murder at the time. Is it just to do with murder though? So criminal charges? Doesn't seem to mention anything about charges of social hosting or being in trouble for that, even if alcohol was distributed to underage people. Interesting. This lawsuit constitutes an asset of the estate, which the estate has an obligation and right to pursue and properly account for under Oklahoma probate law. Indeed, wrongful death claims are specifically authorized and intended to be maintained by an estate under that. Therefore, the estate's request for investigative materials from OHP is directly relevant and necessary for the accurate determination and accounting of potential liabilities and assets of the estate. To that same point, the defendants suffer no prejudice from the issuance of this subpoena. The estate could have pursued the same discovery through probate proceedings without any requirement of notice to the defendants, thereby eliminating any conceivable prejudice from early discovery, or through an Open Records Act request. There is no statute prohibiting such discovery in a probate proceeding to Oklahoma. Such defendants will not suffer under prejudice or unfair surprise by the granting of this subpoena request. Finally, support for compelling discovery from governmental entities arises under. Let's go on to the next page. Page number 4. Here we go. Is that clear enough? McKeeson Court v. Campbell. The Oklahoma Supreme Court emphasized that unless the legislate explicitly exempts state-held materials from discovery, such materials must be made available, and withholding them constitutes an abuse of discretion. No such legislative exemption applies here. Additionally, the Oklahoma Discovery Code clearly authorizes subpoenas directed to governmental entities. Wherefore, plaintiff respectfully requests the court enters to proposed order, grant leave pursuant to Oklahoma for the issuance of subpoena to the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, compelling production of the above listed documentary evidence within 30 days of issuance, and for such other beliefs as the court deems just, equitable, and proper, respectfully submitted. Right, okay. Highway Patrol, production of above listed documentary evidence within 30 days. It's not that long. And some of it writing down below. Let's go on to page number 5. This layout once again with the defendants' names. Same names, appearing to be in the same order or so. Nothing different there. Lawrence Wheeler exhibits a proposed order on no day given, day of July 2025. Plaintiff, the estate of Noah Nichols, motion for leave to issue subpoena for the production of documents limited to Oklahoma Highway Patrol. Based on the court's review of the motion and petition, the motion is granted. It's granted to leave the issue to Oklahoma Highway Patrol to propose subpoena, so ordered this. No day given, or at least how it's been written on this page. Number 6, page 6. Names, as mentioned, the same there. Defendants, Exhibit B, proposed subpoena for production of documents from non-party. From non-party. Oh, right, okay. Department of Public Safety, OHP, certified. Greetings, pursuant to Oklahoma, hereby commanded to produce the following documents for inspection and copying as provided. And page 7. I said page 8, there's really nothing there given. So we'll just finish off on this one here. Subject, Noah, September 4, 2023, death investigation. Documents to be produced. All documents relating to or concerning Noah, death in 2023, Jefferson County, Oklahoma, including but not limited to. Now let's see what's mentioned here. A. All investigative reports and summaries concerning the death. B. All photographic, audio, or video evidence related to the investigation. That's really a big one, that. Audio and video evidence. So that ties back to the party footage, the shower footage maybe, the teabagging footage, the supposed footage of Carter Combs and Avery Howard arguing on the porchway after Noah went missing. Who knows what that was about? The footage of the side-by-side rollover after effects. The shower footage, as I said, because the importance of that to try and work out what condition Noah was in at the time before walking away. Any other footage as well, which has not been seen or shown before, from Caden's claims of the highway footage and the tampering with evidence. It's like Michael Facekas has mentioned and brought that up too. Any of that could be included in this if it did exist. Any other footage or video pieces, photos themselves, I can't think off the top of my head, but it could be quite a variety. It'd be rather important. Any photos or images to do with Noah's body, if it's been taken by a passerby, a trucker, anything like that. And to be honest, audio-based, that could be interviews, possibly, maybe. Number C, statements from any witnesses interviewed in connection with the investigation. Actual statements written. I'm guessing that's more so formal statements and not statements on Facebook, which some people have done, which was like Caleb, was done by Caden Pressey. D. Medical and autopsy reports generated or collected by OHP related to the death of Noah. Very important. Yeah, we've seen the autopsy reports, but like with the photographic evidence to the investigation, photos from the autopsy maybe of Noah's body, documenting it all, how he looked, how he appeared on the highway, how he appeared when they were doing the autopsy, documenting all of that, likely. But would the autopsy report include further more rich information and details which weren't released, weren't included at the time of when it was made public to the general for us to see? Was some hidden away details? Were things added on since? Who knows? E. All communications amongst OHP personnel regarding the investigation and findings. F. Any laboratory analysis or forensic reports obtained during the course of the investigation. G. Any geolocation data. Another really important one, this. Geolocation, cell site location information, or geofencing data collected or used in connection with the investigation into Noah's death. So you think of all the partygoers, you think of the Caden Pressey Alicia situation of phone data, GeoNet, geofence, tracking movements and phone pings where people were at certain times, roughly estimated or in detail, were at the party, were at the highway, the stories that they come out with, as in maybe in the 4 a.m. up to 4:30, going out, looking for Noah, getting to the first sandplank crossing, unsuccessful, returning back to the party house. If they had their phones with them, with the geofence, GeoNet, anything like that, prove that the phones were pinging in the right areas at the right times with the stories that they've come up with. And Caden Pressey as well, with his phone, using it, looking at it at the time of 5:15, and his timestamp and timeline claiming it's all correct and true and everybody else is lying or not quite truthful in some way. Will it finally be backed up here? Because Caden made a promise with his own words towards the general public, and it was documented that he was going to get the Apple data, download it, present it public. Alicia contacting Noah's family at some point previous and agreeing upon, come on down, you collect, look at what you need to, and then stop talking about my son and move on. As in, you can have the data, you can have the evidence, you can see it for yourself. A link was sent for the family of Noah's to be able to access it, to look at Caden's phone data. It expired, and there was delays in between, and nothing's happened since. So the family have been in the dark about it all. Will we finally get to see, or someone gets to see, this proper data to back up party goers or to call them out in some way. That'd be interesting. And with the mentions of phone pings pinging at the site or area of where Noah's body was, like Jack Newton, that was supposedly cleared up through explanations of because of a bad cell signal service out there, pings in incorrect areas. Don't know how true that can be, but that's the supposed explanation. What Jack told whoever in the Facebook Messenger conversation on behalf of what police told him. Did the polygraph test because of that and supposedly passed, but then others were weighing it as inconclusive or so. So there's a bit of a divide there. But there was supposedly a second phone that pinged at the area or near to Noah's body, besides Jack. At the same time, who knows? Who by exactly? I don't know. I don't know if a name was actually ever given, but you never know what will happen. Now, H, any other documents or records in possession of OHP that relate specifically to Noah Nichols, police production documents responsive to the subpoena shall be forwarded to the following address. And importantly down here, the date and time of production on or before July 31st, 2025. That's a bit of a short deadline, to be honest. I'm guessing the time of production, the subpoena, the documents, and all that needs to be forwarded and provided as listed up here. The deadline, from the looks of it, is on or before July 31st, by the end of the month. That's not that long. And granted, they might already have all this evidence collected, so it's not like it's going to take any longer. But as long as, things are provided and whatnot, let's just check. Personal appearance. Your personal appearance is not necessary. Your employee or agent can deliver the responsive materials in person by mail or by email. Failure to obey, pursuant to Oklahoma. Failure by any person without adequate excuse to obey the subpoena may be deemed a contempt of court from which his subpoena issued. Right, hereof fail, not under penalty of law, in order to allow objections to the production of documents and things to be filed, you should not produce them until the date specified in this subpoena, and if an objection is filed, until the court rules on the objection. Will we get any delays or anything like that? Who knows? This is quite an interesting document, this, what it mentions, and the mention of not treating it as murder or any criminal charges to defendants. Let's now head on over to one of the Facebook pages and see what the general public have had to say about it. So this was posted 17 hours ago. The subpoena for OHP records has been granted. The estate of Noah Presgrove's family, wanting OHP, their records, autopsy pictures, media, files, data, and all of that, which the family should be deserving of to learn and see what's really going on. Because if you think about it, especially like the geofence, geonet, the data, the phone pings, the location, that is one of the more important parts in the case, because it's one of the earlier areas when figuring it out where people are at certain times, and then leading up to Noah's death, and then leading up after that to when it's officially reported in, that what partygoers say, is it true to what they've said online, and when they claimed to have communicated, and some may have with family, as Noah's family received the same level of communication, and not from the looks of it, kind of like with the Kane Pressy debacle, absolute mess. But if it is true, from what Alicia says on behalf of Caden, even though Caden says something completely different about the phone and the data and it being taken in by police, if any of it was true whatsoever and processed, then the family should be able to get hold of it at some point. They're requesting for it. It's supposedly being granted, but will OHP delay anything? Okay, deadline the July 31st. Will the family get everything what they want or what's needed within time and within reason? Let's just see the reactions. We've got Cindy, not seen them for a while. Justice for Noah, peace for the family. Tim Daniel, I wonder if this is something OHP told family, that they were finished with the investigation, or is that not official yet? That's an interesting question. Michelle says, I'd say they are asking for everything OHP has because it hasn't resulted in an arrest. I get that. But that doesn't mean OHP is not continuing to investigate, assuming the investigation is complete as premature. I think how I interpreted the language and wording as in, okay, they've not treated it as a murder, that there's not been any like criminal charges to that extent at this moment. So at this moment, not much, but things could change onwards. And if there's any more information in between, you can feel free to reach out. So there's a time frame window where people can still reach out with new evidence or leads, and then they can investigate on it. It shows that the case is still open and they're still open to investigating. They've not completely stopped. Or at least that's like how I look at it. But in terms of what Michelle says, the first line about asking everything that OHP has and done and conducted, because the way it's resulted or the way it's been treated isn't leading to what the family wished or hoped for, hence the wrongful death lawsuit being filed in the first place when seeing something like this. No results in arrest being made, whether that be for the death of Noah or for the social hosting aspect of serving alcohol to underage people, depending if the family are really strong about that, right? Tim Daniel, thanks for sharing, Joyce. And wow, so they acknowledge in this document that Oklahoma Highway Patrol has effectively concluded the investigation and is not planning to bring any criminal charges. Well, there is that as well, effectively concluded, and I'm sure Noah's family wouldn't be pleased with that, but the mention of there's any more information or details, feel free to reach out, etc., but they could reopen stuff. They think they've concluded, they might be satisfied with how they've concluded, but if anything new was to come out, then they might look back, maybe. Tim says, great news. I really hope they get all the documents released and people can see for themselves why there was no evidence to bring charges. Now, if OHP believes that it's been effectively concluded and no criminal charges are going to be brought in, the part about the criminal charges said at this moment or so. Doesn't mean to say it's going to be like that later or onwards. It could change that part. But is it likely to? I mean, with the family requesting evidence, media, and material, they could be like the family, no, this can't be right. They can't just conclude it like that. There's got to be more to it. We need to see this evidence. We need to see the geofence, the geonet, just to check and see what was really going on at the time and any other information as well, which could tell a story. But the police are satisfied, OHP are satisfied with it. The family aren't at this moment. So the family want to see the evidence and material further in detail to then either be satisfied, closure, or to respond back and say, hey, there's a bit more to it along the lines of that. Response-wise, Brenda, pertains strictly to OHP investigation itself. In my opinion, they are asking for documents and geofence data if it doesn't impede on OHP investigation. Nowhere in these documents do I read that OHP is not planning to bring criminal charges. Tim Daniel says, I guess it says at this time. Exactly, Tim. Things can change. I guess we will know if they deny the request for information, they're still investigating and planning to use that information to bring charges. It sounds like the person who wrote this document feels confident enough to use them, having not filed charges as reason enough to share those documents, as in, we feel if there are no charges to be brought, we should be allowed the documents. Maybe I'm reading too much into that line. Let's just read it because it's been highlighted. The plaintiff seeks issuance of the subpoena to the OHP to obtain its investigative file relating exclusively to Noah's death. The estate understands and represents to this court that OHP investigation into Noah's death, particularly as it pertains to criminal charges of murder, the original theme, though, has effectively concluded, reached some kind of end, and understanding that no criminal charges have been formally filed against the named defendants, Stevie, Joni Trout Wilcoxon, Caleb, Val Patrol, Napoli's, this convenience store, Jack Newton, Logan, Carter, Avery, John Jane Doe's. Those named defendants have not been filed with any criminal charges, whether that be to do with the death of Noah or even the distribution and providing of alcohol at the party. So that's kind of interesting that. It does say at this time. At this time, there were no charges, there was no problems. But it could transpire, it could change in a few months, a year or so, who knows? I mean, just for those people that believe in social hosting laws being broken, getting in trouble for that, charges there, and linking on with the outcome of Noah and anyone involved in possibly harming Noah, distribution of alcohol to underage people. The general public that believe in that, are you shocked or surprised how it's worded here? No criminal charges. As in, there's no social hosting laws being broken whatsoever. I know it's social hosting can be a separate thing, but it's within the case and it is linked with Noah. So I'm just thinking, you let me know what you think below then. Brenda to Tim, criminal charges of murder are right before what you have highlighted in blue. Food for thought. Let's just see. Pertains to criminal charges of murder with a comma. Okay. It's not me being awkward, Brenda. It's just from what I can see. This isn't mentioned as a negative. But when it mentions criminal charges of murder, it's not a full stop. It's not end of sentence. It's not moving on to something completely different after that. There's a comma. And when there's a comma, it can link on to what you're about to talk about next. So it can have all links on. I hope that makes sense, Brenda. But yeah, pertains to criminal charges of murder, comma, has effectively concluded. So charges of murder have concluded and no charges have been formally filed. Chell Ann to Tim, the estate understands him. Okay. Right, I feel as though the meaning behind this part is more so saying that it's the estate's understanding, I believe the estate being Dalen and Madison, or Noah's family in general, that OHP has concluded their investigation at this time in regards to investigating this any further. So now this is why they've filed this civil suit. Not that the case has concluded and closed, just that they feel nothing is happening beyond this point. So they, the family, are now going down a different route in hopes of finding their answers for the family. That's the way I have taken that part anyway. Fair enough. Okay, so more on what Noah's family understands or feels, feeling that OHP have concluded. Well, let's just double check. The subpoena to OHP, the estate understands. Right, referring to Noah's family. Noah's family understands and represents to this court that the OHP investigation. So is that the family's outlook in what they believe that the OHP's investigation has effectively concluded, or that OHP themselves individually, besides Noah's family, have effectively concluded? Interesting. I think for me personally, I'd base it on what OHP believes. And the family who's listening into that aren't pleased with the outcome, hence why the wrongful death lawsuit. Any counterpoints? Anonymous member, I'm not sure what you're trying to say. What do you mean? Okay. Thank you for posting these documents. Tim, yes, in their entirety, unlike the other post Michael made, leaving out key information. What did Michael Facecast leave out as for key information? Did he only post like 4 screenshots or something? I mean, maybe it was done at a different time. I think one was posted earlier today when I looked 7 hours ago, and then another one was 11 hours ago. Michael Facecast did provide screenshots of the full thing, or at least to my knowledge, from what I've seen. And it matches up with what's mentioned here. Maybe Michael did like a mini post of some screenshots, then later did it in its full entirety. It depends when people reacted at the time. I'm looking at it late, so more may have been added on since. Right. Siobhan, I am happy the ball is rolling for them and they can hopefully get answers, unknown as to which way it will go. This just made my day. Suspicious but not murder, also known as cover-up. Bex says, praise the Lord. Michelle, well, it would be great to have everything. And there we go, we got Robin too, thank goodness. Last but not least, I just wanted to catch up and acknowledge the comments from the video that I did a few days ago, which was to do with Casey Smith, the breaking news of her acknowledging what was given to her, more so who by, and the amount vaguely as to what was given to her, and how it linked on to her ex-boyfriend known as Dwayne, and the language and the misunderstandings there, and clearing up about the golf clubs as well. So if you are interested in that video, very important, be sure to check it out. It is available top right corner of the screen where the I symbol is amongst the playlist. But let's just see the comments. Victor, no doubt that Noah's mom in picture should be an interesting video. I appreciate that. Lindy, Noah looks like his mum. Julianne, Noah's mum is pretty. I feel bad that she'd never received the important items too. Yeah, so the mother was left out of that, didn't have first choice, which is unfair. Julie, great video, Rav. Appreciate that. Shout out to Julie. Shout out to Glenn as well. We got Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, Joseph. Where is the proof from the cousin? If there is no proof, it's hearsay or a made-up lie. Tim Daniel and the others use this method to attack often. Show the proof, Tim, of Noah's family member saying this. I call a lie. I've never seen that, so don't know how you would have. Definitely doubt no member of Noah's family would speak with Brooke Bounds-Carter. Why that would be going into a snake's pit. So where was this stated? I'm interested as well to know where it was stated, and if there are screenshots of one of Noah Presgrove's cousin besides Ashley Chadwick, another cousin that was claiming Casey Smith sold the golf clubs. Crazy, isn't it? You can't blame the general public. If the general public heard and saw that, what they're supposed to believe in, they might roll with the story because it's mentioned by a family member. But the outsiders that have not heard of it before and only hear from it from the general public, it's hard to believe. So evidence is needed, if possible, screenshots too. Now, of course, it's not just the dark side that may, as what Charlie critiques. The light side, the army page have been known for rumours. The army page, the light side, are responsible for forcing it, that claiming, stating it as a fact that Noah Presgrove contacted the father. Well, that's how people from the light side interpreted it, and then went with that and reinforced it in their own words boldly without true hard evidence that Noah contacted his father and was turned down a ride back home. Victor Presgrove, the father, spoke out some months ago and set the record straight that Noah never contacted him. So there's that. The other rumour and made-up thing exaggerated by people from the army page and light side, claiming that Jack Newton was desperate, was begging Noah to come back to the party, which you could interpret it as suspicious, or the reason why Jack was desperate for Noah to come back so then they could finish Noah off properly in that sense. Well, there's no hard evidence of Jack desperately wanting Noah back, just asking him to come back, and that's all. So both sides could be responsible for exaggeration or saying things without hard evidence at times. Not just one-sided, Charlie. Dark Side says, first of all, after seeing the lawsuit, wrongful death lawsuit, sorry to say, I don't trust everything said by anyone. His mother, Casey Smith, was said to have taken many things from Noah's truck. And if she did, so what? But I doubt she's going to admit it, especially when she's looking at a settlement. Noah's family hasn't done much tracking things down. They didn't even know what Dalen had shorts, the black shorts, for a while. That'd be an unfortunate breakdown in communication. Family has wanted this to look sinister for a reason. So the dark side is saying that Noah Presgrove's family has wanted that for Noah's death to look sinister, and there's a reason behind it. This has become about money. I know it's not a nice thing to say, but family answers have been vague for a reason to paint a picture for the public. Sorry, but true. Interesting. Melanie, welcome back Melanie, not seen you for a while, says, no, it's not a nice thing to say, it's a disgusting, vile thing to say about Noah's family. They lost their loved one. People like you saying things like this make me, my opinion personally, sick. Also, you end this with, sorry, but true. That is not true, and you are stating it as a fact. It's wrong to do this. If that's your opinion, then have at it, be that person, but don't claim it as a fact. Yeah. Oh, we got the cats as well in the background with little purrs. Moving on. Last but not least, I don't believe one word of anything Caden Pressey claims, not one thing. He always makes everyone look bad but himself. All he did was sit around, not even engaging with anyone. Think he was odd man out. They didn't even bring him to breakfast. I don't think he was a great friends with any of them but wanted to be. Well, let's just clear something up there, Darkside. When it comes to Caden Pressey, who was at the party, we don't actually really see footage of him there. Is it because for most of it he's behind the camera? To some extent, yes. Other times probably because he's asleep and other people are out and about on the front patio, kitchen dining area, maybe depending on the timing of certain stuff. Specifically, more so 2:32 in the morning, Caden asleep, but Pepe Guam, Texas boy, and Mikey Lair supposedly underneath a traffic barrel front patio doing things. Caden nowhere to be seen because he's asleep. He's not on site, he's not present. But then the other times, like earlier, 1:05 in the morning, he is present, but he's behind the camera recording it. Sunday evening, 10:50 p.m, Caden Pressey sat down on a chair, filming people panning around, not doing much. Okay, why? Maybe because he's recovering and that surgery, recovering from that, he's limited to what he can do. But it's only in Caden's words, right? So it might not be enough. But for the dark side to give their outlook and opinion that Caden Pressey is the odd one out. Maybe in terms of his story and recollection of stuff, but being at the party at the time, was he really the odd one out? Because in terms of the claims of, oh, he wasn't invited to breakfast, he was left where? Well, even if he wasn't invited to breakfast, if you're referring dark side to when Caden was dropped off at the house and the guys went back out, that was after breakfast. Now, granted, it is from Caden's story, so it might seem a bit biased when trying to defend him because it's coming from his own words, but who else do we have to use to talk about, right? Caden Pressey mentioned that when it came to Sunday morning, at whatever time it was, breakfast time, that Caden, Noah, Jack, Brylan, Isaac, Carter, Avery, Logan, Jasmine, I think all names have been mentioned there, had gone out to get breakfast at Waurika. And then once done, went back to the party house. Caden was dropped off. Kind of implies that Caden was given a ride to Waurika. So instead of everyone going in their own vehicles, some got lifts and others got lifts anyway because they didn't have a vehicle themselves at the time. Okay, reduce the load of vehicles present, bunch more people into as passengers. I get that. So Caden Pressey dropped off after breakfast back at the party house with the girls. So it's not like Caden Pressey is the odd one out literally, because he's being dropped off with the girls to hang out with and watch movies supposedly. So it's not exactly a negative that. The rest of the guys go back out, maybe because it also links back to considering Caden Pressey, his surgery, recovering from that. Caden's limited to what he can do. Maybe the guys were cautious of that. Maybe the guys were like, hey, Caden, you're going to slow us down. We're getting on with stuff. We're going out to town. We're going to do this and that. And maybe Caden can't do it. So why force him along? And maybe it's Caden's personal choice to be dropped off back at the party with the girls. And the guys do guys things, whatever that is. Will we ever know though, right? Will we ever know what happened on Friday? Because no one talks about it. Will we ever know what happened Sunday morning when the guys went back out to town? And it was mentioned, I believe, by Caden that Caleb was with them. Will we ever learn where did they go back out to and what activities they engaged in exactly? Anything dodgy? Normal? Will we ever find out? Yeah, it's away from the party and it's before Noah's death, but it's still a part of the timeline, right? Because as long as Noah is present and Jack and anyone else in between, for example, listed defendants, what was the atmosphere like when Noah was about? Noah wanted to go back home, but he was still out with the guys before that. So was there something that happened when out with the guys that caused Noah to want to leave and not return back, especially to the house and with the people, that he wanted his space? Anything, possibly. And when linking back to Caden Pressey, Caden has worded it in one interview compared to another. Partners in True Crime Part 1 public interview, Caden said he knew of these party goers and the girls specifically from the past when hanging out in car parks and drinking alcohol. Underage as well. But then Part 2, the never released Partners in True Crime interview with Caden, but more so Alicia doing the talking, Caden brought it up in that interview with the same host, the same people, just a different time, about not knowing of these girls, not seeing them before, not being to the house before, like the strangers. That's weird. Caden has gone from saying, I know these girls and these people, met them in the past in car parks, to then saying, I've never seen these people before. Either you've seen and known these people before, or you haven't. One or the other. What's going on? Why is it such a divide? That's what is a bit odd and unusual. Caden had mentioned there that when at the party house did engage with the Ford Ranger driving about shooting at animals, whether Caden shot at animals himself or just watched, got in and out of the vehicle supposedly from what Alicia says, hence why there was grass, debris within the shoelace or so. Could have happened with Noah as well, hence why it was found with the autopsy report. Possible. Caden participating with Noah in using golf clubs to smash objects as well. So Caden did engage with some stuff, but was limited. But there were claims by people on the dark side, might be by Brooke Bounds-Carter, but maybe more so others, that there was supposedly video footage out there which shows Caden Pressey at the time of the after effects of the rollover in helping rolling it back on its wheels. But Caden should have been asleep for that, right? Not two places at once. And it's hard to believe Caden would participate in helping roll over a vehicle when you're applying quite a lot of weight and force on your leg, especially your recovered one. You think you'd be taking it easy. But we've not seen the public footage of it or evidence, so hard to believe at the moment, but who knows with time if it will come about. And if it is in the hands of police, linking back to this subpoena, on behalf of the family, the estate, what they want from OHP, if that footage and material is within it, including Caden rolling over a side-by-side, it could provide new perspectives and whatnot. Okay, we've seen some Snapchats and posts here and there, but there's supposedly more, and footage of Noah wearing white shorts as well, but some of that stuff hasn't been or can't be released yet. So it's in the hands of the police. It could time with all this, what we're looking at as for the subpoena. So hopefully new things get released and they can be analysed and looked at to tell a more full story, to reinforce previous stuff or counter others. So I hope you found the video somewhat interesting. If you want to share the video, hit the thumbs up, like, that'd be much appreciated. My name's Wallach Raf. We'll see what happens next. But for now, goodbye and good night.